As they were going along the road, someone said to him, "I will follow you wherever you go." And Jesus said to him, "Foxes have holes, and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head." To another he said, "Follow me." But he said, "Lord, first let me go and bury my father." But Jesus said to him, "Let the dead bury their own dead. But as for you, go and proclaim the kingdom of God." Another said, "I will follow you, Lord, but let me first say farewell to those at my home." Jesus said to him, "No one who puts a hand to the plow and looks back is fit for the kingdom of God." Who has ever met this Jesus? Who knew he could be so inflexible? He sounds so mean, cold, and hard-hearted. Who would ever follow such a mean-spirited, cold, and hard-hearted person? How could such a person ever gather any kind of following? Jesus has ripped away any romantic notion of what it meant, and continues to be his follower. I would expect to hear this kind of slap down from Mark or Matthew, maybe, but Luke is generally so kind and tells wonderful stories. The Christmas story of Luke is perhaps the most beloved of Bible readings. Charles Schulz chose his character Linus to recite the Luke version in the Charlie Brown Christmas special to explain what Christmas is all about. In the previous chapter of Luke, we have the very loving and kind Jesus who is able to heal a mentally ill man. And not so many days later, we have the meanest boss ever, Jesus. Who's ever heard the warning from someone in authority over you? The only excuse for your absence is your own funeral. High school coaches and teachers, perhaps college professors, or maybe somebody at work will sternly warn you, you better be here or else. Does Jesus really mean to be so mean? Scholars can't agree. The reference regarding the Son of Man having no place to rest his head at night is usually interpreted as followers of Jesus will be giving up all the creature comforts to serve him. Perhaps not even having a place to call home any longer. Rejecting a would-be follower because he needs to attend to the funeral of his father. The Jewish writings of the Talmud place the highest emphasis and responsibility on the living to properly bury the dead. Would Jesus really be overturning this act of respect? Some say Jesus meant to say that the spiritually dead won't follow him anyway, so don't bother saying you'll tag along later. Others say what he really meant was that you can't wait for some sort of circumstance to change. In this case, the person wasn't supposed to wait until their parents were dead and gone before deciding to follow Jesus. As you sit there, still trying to figure out this stern-sounding scripture, consider this thought from Timothy Tyson, the son of a pastor. Every minister worthy of the name has to walk the line between prophetic spiritual sustenance, between telling people the comforting things they want to hear and challenging them with the difficult things they need to hear. Daddy began to feel as though all the members wanted him to do was to marry them and bury them and stay away from their souls. Representing the prophetic voice has been a topic of conversation for these last, at least several years among pastors, in an effort to perhaps make Jesus all warm and cuddly in response to the fire and brimstone God that had been preached previously. The prophetic voice has been lost. Preachers have to shoulder our share of the responsibility for all of the television preachers who have done little more than preach a gospel of prosperity. A message that says, Jesus says you deserve to be financially wealthy. All of us get lumped into the same category of Christians when one group or another thinks that preachers haven't done enough in support of their cause, or when certain behaviors aren't denounced or prejudices justified. Being the prophetic voice does run the risk of alienating people who are not ready or equipped to hear it. But it is no excuse to silence or avoid it. What would this country be like if pastors and church-going people had not performed history-making acts of prophetic discipleship? It was church people, Congregationalists, the forerunners of the United Church of Christ, of which we are a member church, led by their pastors, that began the abolitionist movement and worked tirelessly and at risk to their own lives to end slavery. It was the same kind of people who fought for women's right to vote. It was the same kind of people who fought for civil rights and registering voters. What if Rosa Parks had gone to the back of the bus like she had done so many times before? How much longer would it have been until there was a catalyst to outlaw segregation? It is the same kind of people who are working to control the access by just anybody to own and buy assault-type guns. It is the same kind of people who are still fighting the civil rights fight for equality for all people. It is the same kind of people who continue to encourage others to participate in a democratic process, no matter how much big money donors try to discourage it. It is the same kind of people who are trying to find ways for people of different religions to get to know and hopefully accept one another. It is our hand-in-hand cultural exchange that continues this afternoon. On your behalf, we take with us gifts and a spirit of welcome and love. We're not just a bunch of starry-eyed do-gooders that think this little visit is going to end in violent extremism. I do expect to meet some people who are suspicious of us. Some who are eager to meet us, and some who couldn't care one way or another. You know, people. Jesus' journey took him through a region of Samaritan villages where he was not always welcomed, but he refused to meet their hostility and inhospitality with hostility of his own. And he would not tolerate such behavior from his disciples either. Instead, he described how challenging it is to be a representative of Christ. I have been challenged by people recently who are telling me, in their words, to wake up, because I refuse to believe that all Muslims are our enemy. Jesus makes heavy demands of those who say they wish to follow his path. His words in this passage are harsh. They are words that make us consider our values and priorities. Followers of Jesus need to look forward rather than backward. Jesus' intent is not for us to abandon our families and obligations, especially if you are caring for an ill loved one, but to consider all of our relationships in a new light. We are to love, but to love without being possessive. The life of the loved one we care for belongs to God, not us. God will decide the timetable of healing if it is to happen at all. We have permission to own things, but we are to do so without greed. Yes, we are to save money for our future, but we are called to give generously. Even the best excuse possible should never get in the way of discipleship. Oh, why can't we just have the warm and fuzzy baby Jesus? Why can't we just have the wrapped in swaddling clothes Christmas Jesus? For the same reason that he didn't remain a baby. All of us have to grow up. Can we grow and mature enough in our faith to be the kind of full-time follower that Jesus is looking for? Following Jesus part-time is damaging not just to us, but also to the people who emulate our behavior, especially children and anyone new to our faith. Following Jesus requires tough choices. You either are or are not a follower. You either help shape a better future or you stand in the way. Jesus doesn't give us a third option. Being a Christ follower does not mean you abandon your family who needs you. It does mean that you do not abandon Christ's call to you to address bigotry and hatred when it comes up in family conversation or around the cubicles at work. It is a battle for your soul. Because the things you say, the excuses we make, reveal the place of Jesus in our lives.